Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus, chapter 11. This is exercise C for chapter 11, parsing, Latin to English. And by parsing, we mean the exercise or act of giving the parts of each word in a sentence. This is the act of reading. How do we read? We start at the left with the first word, and then we parse, give the parts or dissect each word as we encounter them moving towards the right. When parsing a Latin noun, we are to give the dictionary entry of that noun. Then we are to identify the case of that noun in the sentence, and then the number of that noun in the sentence. And then from the case, we derive the noun's reason, its job, its function, what it's syntactically doing in the sentence. For instance, if we have a noun in the accusative case, and it has a preposition in front of it like odd or in, it's going to be accusative. Accusative because of motion towards. Accusative of reason, motion towards. Movement towards. When parsing a Latin verb, we are to give the dictionary entry of that verb, that is the four principal parts. And then we are to identify the person, the number, the tense, the voice, which is always active for now, and the mood. Starting with number 1. Sententia prima. Post bellum nomen novum consolidabimus. So we'll start with the first word, post. Post is a preposition. Takes the accusative case, and it means after or behind. So in space or time, after or behind. Takes the accusative case, so we should expect to find an accusative like bellum e neuter, which means war. Because it's a neuter noun, it could be either the nominative or the accusative, singular neuter. If this noun is in the nominative case, its reason will be the subject. If it's in the accusative case, it could be the direct object, but note that there is a preposition in front of this noun, which does take the accusative case. Post takes the accusative. So there's a very good chance that this word is accusative because of the preposition post. After the war. In time, behind the war, after the war. Nomen. Nomen from nomen, nominus, neuter, name. Nomen, that can be either the nominative or the accusative singular neuter. Note from its dictionary entry, nomen, nominus, it is a third declension neuter. So its accusative will be the same as its nominative, nomen. An accusative will be nomen. The genitive will be nominus, and the stem will be nomen. So the full declension would be nomen, nominus, nomini, nomen, nomine, nomina, nominum, nominibus, nomina, nominibus. Blank is same as nominative, a, ibus, a, ibus. So either the nominative, at which point it will be the subject, or the accusative, at which point it will be the direct object. It means name, like nominate. Novum, from novus meaning new, fresh, strange. And that form could be nominative singular neuter, or accusative singular masculine, or also accusative singular neuter. Probably is going to agree with nomen. Doesn't have to, but there's a good chance that it will agree with nomen, because they could be both accusative and singular and neuter. So a new name. Consuli, from consul, consulis masculine, meaning consul. This is the dative. Consul, consulis, it's a masculine, so it has masculine / feminine, third declension endings. Consul, consulis, consuli, consulem, consule. Consules, consulum, consulibus, consules, consulibus. So consuli is the dative. Reason for dative probably is going to be the indirect object. The indirect object usually receives the direct object. We use the prepositions in English to and for. To or for the consul. And then dabimus. We have the first person plural, future bimus, of do, dare, dedi, datus, which means to give. It's the first person plural, future, active voice in indicative mood. It's not an imperative, it's not a command. So we are the subject. We will, first person plural. We will give. What will we give? How about an accusative direct object like a new name? To whom? To the dative indirect object consuli, to the consul. And when will we do this? Post bellum, after the war. After the war, we will give a new name to the consul, or we will give a new name to the consul after the war. Optime. Secunda, sententia secunda. Luci Iuli Caesaris, filiae nomen erit Iulia. So Luci Iuli Caesaris. So we have Luci. Luci is going to be from Lucius, Lucius E masculine. So it's actually going to be Lucii. Think of it as the nominative, think of it as the genitive singular Lucii. And Iuli and Caesaris. This is all going to be genitive. This is the three-part name of a Roman. So for Luci, think of it as a double I, Lucii. And Iulii, think of it as a double I there, Iulii. And then Caesaris, the genitive of Caesar, Caesaris masculine. So the whole three-part, tripartite Roman name in the genitive. Lucius, that's the praenomen. Iuli, that's the nomen, the family gens name, the clan name, the house name. So Iulius. Lucius, abbreviated L. Iulius Caesar, Lucius Julius Caesar. Filiae, so filiae from filiae feminine, daughter, either the genitive singular, the dative singular, or the nominative plural. Nomen, nomen from nomen nominus neuter, meaning name. Third declension neuter, so we'll have the endings blank is e, same as nominative a, ibus a, ibus. So nomen is either going to be the nominative or the accusative singular neuter. So it's either the subject or the direct object. And then our question about which one it is answered when we get to erit. It's a form of sum, esse, fui, futurus, to be. Erit is third person singular future active indicative. Well, if we have a form of sum, the linking verb to be, we cannot have an accusative direct object. We must have a nominative subject, and then we must have a predicate. So our nominative subject looks like it's going to be nomen, the name. Filiae, if that's nominative, it would have to be plural, and erit is singular, so that's why that don't work. So the nomen, the name of, or how about the name to? It could be a dative of possession. It could also be a genitive of possession. It really doesn't matter. But Luci Iuli Caesaris is definitely genitive. So the name of the daughter of Lucius Julius Caesar, Lucius Julius Caesar's, apostrophe S, Caesar's daughter's, apostrophe S, daughter's name, erit, that's future, will be, and then Iulia, from Iulia I feminine, that means Julia. It's the feminine form of Iulius E masculine. Because remember, any girls that were born to the house of Iulius were named Iulia. Cornelius would be Cornelia. Tullius would be Tullia. So Lucius Julius Caesar's daughter's name will be Julia. Optime. Tertia. Nonne flumen erat latum et longum et pulchrum. So nonne, we have nonne, When we begin a sentence, an interrogative, because it is with a question mark there, with nonne, we are asking a question where we expect a yes answer. We're expecting a yes answer. Is not, nonne erat, or in this case, was not, because erat is imperfect. So flumen, fluminous, neuter, river or stream. Notice from the declension, it is, or from the dictionary entry, that it is the third declension. Fluminis, is, genitive ending, and neuter. So its endings will be blank, is, e, same as nominative, a, ibus, a, ibus. Flumen, fluminous, flumini, flumen, flumine. Flumina, fluminum, fluminibus, flumina, fluminibus. So nonne flumen erat. So the river flumen is either going to be the nominative or accusative, the subject or the direct object. But that question is answered when we get to erat, a form of sum, esse fui futurus, to be. It's a linking verb, linking a subject and a predicate. So we cannot have an accusative direct object. That takes the accusative out of flumen. It's got to be nominative. Nonne flumen erat, was not the river something. And we've got latum, et longum, et pulchrum. So we have three adjectives joined by conjunctions et and. So was not the river, wasn't the river was blank, blank, and blank, right? Yeah, it was. Wasn't the river blank, blank, and blank? Oh yeah, totally. It was latum from latosaum, wide, broad. Longum from longosaum, long. And pulchrum from poker, pulchra, pulchrum, beautiful. All of these have to be neuter. They are. They have to be singular, and they are. And they have to be nominative. These three are predicate nominatives. They are adjectives modifying the subject flumen, which is in the nominative case. We have a linking verb, which is an equal sign. So we're saying that the river equals wide and long and pretty. Wasn't the river wide and long and beautiful? Was it not? Wasn't it? Yeah, sure. Well done, optime. Quarta, sententia quarta. Copiae Germanae milites Caesaris in Caesaris Romanis appugnaverant. So copiae Germanae, we have copiae. So we have the singular copiae feminine, meaning plenty or resource, wealth. The plural typically means troops or forces, and its dictionary entry is copiae aurum feminine plural. So we could have either one here. Germanae, okay, so we have Germanosaum, an adjective meaning German. This has got to be feminine, so it's going to probably agree with copiae. It could be a genitive singular, dative singular, or nominative plural. So we could have German forces or something of German wealth or German plenty. So it's probably going to be nominative plural subject, German forces or troops. Just guessing. Milites, from miles militis, masculine, soldier. Milites is either the nominative plural masculine, in which case it will be the subject, or it's accusative plural masculine, in which case it will be the direct object because there is no preposition showing motion towards preceding the noun. Caesaris, from Caesar, Caesaris masculine, Caesar. This is the genitive form, so it's showing possession, genitive of possession. He's probably possessing the soldiers because that's what Caesar does. The soldiers of Caesar. Caesar's, apostrophe S, soldiers. Well, since the copiae Germanae cannot be an accusative direct object, could be nominative, could be genitive, could be dative. Milites, either nominative or accusative, as it could be the direct object. So looks like it's going to be the German forces are going to do something to the soldiers of Caesar, to Caesar's soldiers. Oh no, suspense. Let's see what happens. In plus the accusative would show motion towards, but in plus the ablative, like here, caesaris, that shows location. Caestra, aurum, always neuter, always plural. It means camp. So we are located where? In caesaris. We are located in the camp. Romanis, from Romanorum, meaning Roman, an adjective denoting something that belongs to Rome, a Roman person or a Roman thing. It modifies the noun caesaris. They're both dative or ablative plural neuter. It's going to be ablative because we have the preposition in, which takes the ablative to show location, because it's an accusative. So where are we located? Where are we? We are in the Roman camp, the camp belonging to the Romans. The camp of Rome, the Roman camp. And then the verb appugnaverant, well, that's the last piece of the puzzle. The image is now complete. Third person plural, pluperfect, looks like the imperfect of sum, as an ending on the perfect stem of the verb. So that's the pluperfect. Third person plural, pluperfect, active indicative of uppugno, uppugnare, uppugnavi, uppugnatus, which means not just to fight, pugno, but to really fight it out in opposition, so to attack, to assault. They had done this. Who had? The subject, which has to be the German forces. The German forces had attacked. What or whom had they attacked? The soldiers of Caesar. And where had this occurred? In the Roman camp. The German forces had attacked the soldiers of Caesar in the Roman camp. The German forces had attacked Caesar's soldiers in the Roman camp. Quinta. Iter a mea villa ad silva magnum est longum. So iter itineris, neuter, a journey, a route, like an itinerary or march. So this has to be either the nominative or accusative singular neuter. If it's the nominative, it will be the subject. If it's accusative, it will show the direct object because there's no preposition in front of it showing motion towards. So iter itineris neuter is a third declension neuter. So its endings will be endings will be blank is e, same as nominative a, ibus, ibus. And its forms will be iter itineris, itinerari, iter itinere. Itinera, itinerum, itineribus, itinera, itineribus. So as I said, nominative or accusative, subject or the direct object. I don't know which. Ab, preposition meaning from, away from, movement away from, takes the ablative of separation. We're moving away from mea villa. Meosa mine, agreeing with villa, I, feminine. Farmhouse. Both are ablative, both are singular, and both are feminine. From my farmhouse. So the journey, the route, the march, probably the journey from my farmhouse. Separation from my farmhouse or moving away from my farmhouse. Odd. Preposition meaning to, towards, or near. Takes the accusative case, show motion towards. Towards silvam magnum, towards the silva I feminine forest, which is magnus big, large, or great. Both are accusative, both are singular, and both are feminine. Towards the large forest. Then we have our linking verb, which is est, linking our subject, which has to be iter, the nominative singular subject. It's not accusative. We can't have an accusative direct object if we have a linking verb, a form of sum. So our subject, our linking verb equals longum, from longosa meaning long. Because iter is nominative, singular, and neuter, we have our linking verb and then our predicate nominative. If it's an adjective, must be nominative, must be singular, and must be neuter as well. The short sentence would be iter est longum. The journey is long. But we're more descriptive about the iter, about the journey. It's the journey from my farmhouse to the big forest. That's the one that's long. The journey from my farmhouse to the large forest is long. Wine, wine. Sexta. Matrum carmina erant pulchra. So matrum, from mater, matres, feminine. It is a third declension masculine. It's a feminine noun, so it has masculine/feminine endings. Blank is ema. Es ibus es ibus. So matrum, that's a genitive plural. That is a genitive plural. Genitive shows possession, so mothers or of the mothers. Mothers spelled with an S and an apostrophe after the S. Carmina, from carmen, carminis, neuter, song or poem. It's a third declension neuter. Carminis is neuter. Blank is same as nominative. A ibus ibus. So carmina, that's going to be nominative or accusative, plural neuter. We know it cannot be accusative. Why not? Because erant, the next word, is a form of sum. Esse, fui, futurus, to be. We cannot have an accusative direct object with a form of sum. So we have our nominative subject, carmina, songs or poems of the mothers songs. Erant, the third person plural imperfect active indicative of sum, esse, fui, futurus, they were. The mothers, that's an S apostrophe, songs were pulchra, were pretty. Pulcher, pulchra, pulchrum, beautiful, pretty, noble, fine. And that is going to have to be, because it's the predicate of carmina, which is nominative plural neuter, this must also be nominative plural neuter. It's the predicate nominative. And as an adjective, it must modify the noun, plural and neuter. So the songs were pretty. Whose songs? The mother's songs were pretty. Septima. Caesar erat imperator magnus in Gallia. So Caesar. Caesaris masculine. Caesar. That's his name. Caesar. Nominative singular masculine, so he's the subject. Always doing something. Erat. Another linking verb, third person singular imperfect active indicative of sum, esse, fui, futurus. So we should see no accusative direct objects here. We have a subject in the nominative, a linking verb. We're going to need another nominative to be our predicate nominative. Imperator, from imperator, imperatoris masculine, a general, a commander. Imperator has to be nominative, singular and masculine. That looks like it's our predicate. What was Caesar? He was an imperator. Caesar was a general, a commander. Magnus, great, big, large in size or importance. Us, that's the nominative singular masculine form, agreeing with imperator. Caesar erat imperator magnus. Caesar was a great general in Gallia, where in plus the accusative would show motion towards, into, or onto, but in plus the ablative shows in or on location. Gallia, ablative singular feminine, from Gallia I feminine, in Gaul. Where was Caesar? In Gaul. Ubi erat Caesar? In Gallia. Caesar erat imperator magnus in Gallia. Caesar was a great general in Gaul. Octava. Cum diligentia milites, portate vestra arma in oppidum. So we have cum, preposition, always taking the ablative case. It can be the ablative of accompaniment or the ablative of manner. Accompaniment will be in the company of someone or something, and manner will be the style, how, almost like an adverb, how the action of the verb was done. So cum diligentia, well, that answers our question. Unless you're walking around with a girl named Diligentia, this is going to be an ablative of manner. Diligentia I feminine, diligence, care, attentiveness, attention. So cum, ablative of manner, diligentia, ablative singular feminine, with diligence, with care, with attention. You must have the cum. If there were a modifying adjective like magnus to agree with diligentia, then you could omit the cum, but you must have the cum because there is no modifying adjective. Diligentia is working by itself. Then we have comma. Noun, comma. A noun offset by commas. Milites, from miles militis, masculine. Soldiers. And it looks pretty nominative-y, or I guess accusative-y, but it's actually vocative because if you'll note that's offset by commas, that indicates in English the direct address. Direct address, that is the vocative case. Portate, from porta, portare, portavi, portatus, to carry. Portate, that's going to be a plural imperative. Porta would be the singular imperative. Carry, you're ordering one person. A singular miles, ordering him to porta, carry something. But if you've got more than one miles, you've got a bunch of milites, soldiers, well then that's portate, the plural. Second person plural, present active, imperative mood. It's a command to carry. Carry ye soldiers. Carry with diligence. Carry with care. This is the style of how they did the action. How, it's almost adverbial. It's manner. Vestra arma, from vester, vestra, vestrum. Your, plural, belonging to ye, to y'all. Now that could either be nominative singular feminine. It does not have a macron, so it will not be ablative. It could be nominative or accusative plural neuter. Looks like it agrees with arma, which arma is neuter. From arma, orum, always neuter, always plural, like castra. It only has 5 forms. Arma, armorum, armis, arma, armis. So vestra arma could be nominative or accusative. And it's definitely going to be accusative because we've already got our nominative. It's ye, it's y'all. They're going to be the subjects of carry. Carry, soldiers, and the y'all is referring to the soldiers. Your, plural, that's why we're using vester and not tuus. We're talking to more than one. Arma, accusative plural, neuter, direct object. Carry your arms, meaning your defensive weapons, your armor. In plus the accusative shows motion towards, into, or onto. In plus the ablative shows location. Here we have oppidum, e neuter, town. This is the accusative. Oppidum, e neuter, town. This is the accusative. In plus the accusative shows motion towards. We're going into the town. Carry your arms into the town with care, soldiers. Soldiers, carry your arms into the town with care, with attention, with diligence. And nona, nautae Graeci nonna vigabant magna celeritate. So nautae, from nauta, I, masculine, a sailor. It's a first declension noun. Looks feminine, it's actually masculine. Could be genitive singular, or dative singular, or nominative plural. Graeci, from Graecus aon, meaning Greek. Something to do with the Greeks. So this is going to be, looks like nominative plural. Could be genitive singular masculine. Could be nominative plural masculine. Could agree with nautae, Greek sailors. The Greek sailors. Known, adverb meaning not. Navigabant. Navigabant is the third person plural, imperfect, active indicative of navigo, navigare, navigavi, navigatus, to sail. So because it's imperfect, they were doing this. They used to do this. Or they did not used to do this. The Greek sailors were not sailing, did not used to sail. Magna, from magnus aon, big, great, large in size or importance, and that macron over the second and final a tells us that this is an ablative singular feminine, and probably going to modify the noun celeritate, from celeritas, celeritatis, feminine, swiftness, speed. Celeritate. So, with great speed. Notice the cum is omitted in this ablative of manner. That's fine. If it were going to be here, it would appear right here between the adjective and the noun. Adjective, cum, noun. Magna cum celeritate, or just magna celeritate. Ablative, singular, feminine, ablative of manner. It describes how, the style of the action of the verb. The Greek sailors were not sailing with great speed, with great haste. Optime and decima. Corpora Romanorum magna non erat. So the corpora, from corpus corporis neuter, a body, like corporeal or corpse. So it's a third declension neuter, corpus corporis corpori corpus corpore, corpora, like a corporation, corporum corporibus corpora corporibus. So corpora, either a nominative or an accusative, plural neuter. If it's nominative, it's going to be the subject. If it's accusative, it's going to be the direct object. Romanorum, genitive plural masculine or neuter of Romanus aon. Probably going to be masculine because it's describing the bodies of the Romans. The Romans, S apostrophe, bodies. Magna non erant. Magna, from magnus aon, big, large, great in size or importance. There's no macron over the final and second A, so this is either going to be nominative singular feminine or nominative or accusative plural neuter. Now we have non erant, known adverb negating erant, linking verb sum esse fui futurus, the third person plural imperfect active indicative. Well, we can't have an accusative direct object, so corpora has to be the nominative subject. Non erant was not equal to magna, and magna is the predicate nominative. It's the adjective describing, or in this case not describing, the bodies of the Romans. The bodies of the Romans were not big, were not large. They were not what we might call a tall people. Optime. Very well done. That wraps it up for exercise C. You are now ready to move on to chapter 11, exercise D. Valete omnes.